Okay, let's dive into our weekly Bitcoin update. And really, I want to talk about the kind of parabolic move that we've had since kind of August 23, which is my birthday, up to, well, that's the month of my birthday, up to March this year, and kind of the preceding action, or action taken after that parabolic move. Is anything scary happening? Should we be worried about Bitcoin? We'll cover all of that stuff over the next few minutes. So yeah, pretty big move, and I think what we've seen since then is this kind of this range that's appeared and doesn't seem to be showing any signs of kind of letting up. I would say if we went with the extremes, we're seeing. I mean, I can't see that happening, but let's go with the extremes anyway. We've got this kind of megaphone kind of structure appearing. And I think generally what you'll find within these ranging structures, however you want to think of them, you generally find that they bounce around like this until they break out one way or they break down the other way. I can't see this kind of range breaking anytime soon, mainly because of the big elections that are coming up in November. I think there's a lot of uncertainty around what will happen after that event. So I would see us kind of continuing within this choppy period for a while. I'd also say after a big move like this, it's pretty normal to get some consolidation afterwards. I mean, you can't move, nothing moves up like this without needing a period of rest. And that's essentially what I'm thinking of this as. It's a period of rest. It's not like we've, gone up and then smashed back down all the way through the floor, right? We're still up. We're just accumulating. People are exchanging Bitcoin. Institutions are now buying, which is a really positive sign. I think if you'd gone back maybe 5 years ago or to the last cycle, maybe there could have been a chance that crypto would have failed and no one would have got into it. But I think now that we're at a point where institutions are openly buying it and openly talking about Bitcoin, I think we're unlikely to see Bitcoin just disappear. So I think the kind of, if you look in the news or on Twitter or wherever, yeah, everything is very kind of bearish, doom and gloom. But personally, I don't think there's anything to worry about. Obviously, these are my own opinions, so please make sure you do your own analysis and gather your own thoughts on this stuff. But yeah, ultimately for me, there's nothing here that kind of screams this is super scary. I think what we'll see is this consolidation period continue with ultimately a break up to the upside. But let's have a look at some of the other indicators that I would use to check kind of momentum and what's happening. So if we look at the MACD on the weekly, so the higher the time frame, the more kind of gravitas these indicators have, or at least that's my view. The MACD, which is kind of a measure of momentum, has crossed over. So you can see it's gone pretty high. It's crossed over. It's now correcting itself. It's coming back down. It needs to reset. It can't keep that, that strong, aggressive upward momentum without taking a break. Imagine you're in a race and you're running as fast as you can. There's a point where you're going to have to stop and rest and take a breather. I kind of see it the same for the charts. So at the moment there's a bit of downward pressure, and I think until this starts to turn or it hits a point of resistance or is it a point of support, I think we're going to keep chopping. So let's look at where those points of support are. Let me take this away. So the areas that I'm really interested in are at previous levels of support, which we've got here. This is quite a big one. Bearing in mind this is weekly, there's a lot of action happening here. But I would say around here is one area that I'd be looking to buy. and there's a small amount of support here. It stopped very briefly here, and we've seen a retest of this area at this level as well. Now, this would be another area where I'd be looking to buy. So if I was going to buy Bitcoin, I probably will. I would be looking to do an initial buy at around 50k, and I'll be looking to do maybe a more aggressive buy at about 45k if it hits there. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. I may change my mind depending on price action, but those are the areas that I'm specifically interested in. I'll be watching those areas to see kind of what happens when it hits. Does the price just crash through and start recovering? Does it get there and consolidate for a while? All of those things will potentially cause me to take different actions. The reason that I'm looking at this on the weekly is because the downward momentum is, well, it's down on the weekly. So I know that I feel confident, I feel confident that it's going to hit a weekly support level. And at that point, it will maybe start changing direction. That's my thesis anyway. In terms of what I'm expecting over the next week, if we move down to kind of the daily charts, I'm not expecting much. I guess we'll see at the end of the week. Maybe I'm wrong, and it just smashes. It hits the 2nd of September and just smashes straight up. But I think historically, which we can probably look at now, actually. Let's go up to the weekly. It looks like we're just going to stay on the weekly for this one. But I think historically, around these months, crypto is pretty quiet. Especially if we look here, look, you can see there was a big run up here. And then when we get to, what's this, May, June, July, August, this period here where we are right now was very, very quiet. And before it kind of took off again in kind of September, you kind of see it in August coming up to September. I think we've also saw something similar. What was this? January, March, May. So again, we see it here. This kind of August, September, and then it is when we get to October that we start to break out. So I think a consolidate. I mean, I've only looked at a couple. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but I think, in fact, I will look at it in one more. So let's do 2020. So if we go to May 2020, again, you've got this kind of consolidation zone. It gets to the end of September, which is here, and then we see this uptake. So this isn't unheard of. A choppy Q3 isn't this completely alien concept. Has never happened before. This is relatively common. Plus, with the political stuff that's happening at the moment, yeah, I'm not surprised that we're seeing this action. So yeah, I think for me, I'll be holding on tight, buying at the levels that make sense to me, and yeah, I'm waiting for 2025. I think that's it. I'll dive into a little bit more around this in the next update. I'll try and do one every Sunday, where we'll recap kind of what's happened over the previous week. But I think it's going to be pretty boring throughout September, with hopefully some real kind of exciting action taking us into kind of price discovery as we get into Q4, maybe Q1 2025. Okay, cool. That's it for me. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye bye.